Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's theme is Namaste, recognizing the divine spark within, seeing yourself, really seeing yourself, so that you're better equipped to really see others. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, take a rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to come to a nice tall stand facing the top end of the mat and find your way into a flavor of mountain pose, Tadasana, that works for you. You could do feet stacking directly underneath your hips, or you could heel toe in to a narrow mountain. Bring your hands together in prayer mudra. Take a moment to close your eyes. Take your focus inward. Start to tune in to what is happening inside. Begin to tune into that essence, that divine spark that is you. Start to slow the pattern of your breath down, taking conscious inhales and exhales. Tune in to the rise and the fall of your rib cage with each successive breath pattern. Keeping your eyes closed, or you can gently flutter them open if you need to. Start to rub the energy between the two hands together. Not just rubbing the two palms together, but also interlacing the fingers and rubbing between the fingers, creating as much heat energy as you can. Then when the hands are nicely warmed, close your eyes and cup your hands over your eyes, gently transferring the heat from your hands to your eyes. Allow that heat energy to soak in through the eyelids, bleeding down the line of your face, your neck, into your heart center. Then begin to gently rub the hands again, making sure you're rubbing between the fingers as well. We're going to cup again, this time around the ears. Allow that energy to soak in. Feel it bleeding all the way down to your heart center. One last time, we're going to rub those hands together. Place one hand on your chest and one just underneath your breastline. Transfer that energy to your heart center. Then relax the arms heavy at your side and start to trace a forward shrug circle through the shoulders. Stay here with your arms at your side, or translate that circle into big sweeping arm circles, using your arms like big oars to harvest and play with the energy surrounding your body. Then relax those arms at your side and begin to trace a backward shrugging circular motion through the shoulders. Maybe you can translate that into a big backward arm circle. End with the arms heavy at your side. Take a big breath in and slide the left arm down the left leg, making your whole collar line on the left heavy. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale to do the same on the right. And start to find a lazy tick-tock pattern, dropping down through one shoulder and stretching on the opposite side of the body. Sliding your fingertips down as far as they will go along the outside of your leg. Keeping your tall mountain throughout with a tiny 12 o'clock tilt through your pelvis. Come back to center. Take a big breath in. Drop left and stay here for a count of 10. Inhale to come back to center. Take a long inhale in. For a long exhale, drop and hold right. Come back to center and heel toe into a narrow mountain if your feet were hip distance apart. Start to hug the right knee in towards your chest and then relax it back down to the mat. You're going to shoot for maybe 5 repeats, looking to find your balance as you play with that hug of the knee in towards your chest. Maybe ending in the hug and just holding. Squeezing into the lower abdominal cavity. Give the legs a little shake out. Let's repeat on the other side. Starting to use your drishti or your focal point to help hone your balance. Maybe ending in that hug. Releasing that leg to the floor and then opening up the legs a little bit wider. They could be just a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. So a comfortable summer seating. We're coming into a little half spin. We're going to tap opposite shoulder, opposite bum, and wake up the energy in the entire trunk. So think from the lower base chakra all the way up to the throat chakra. Create a little reverberation that you feel all the way from the bottom to the top. Then come to stillness. You can keep your feet wide. We're coming into some modified chairs. So you can take a modified half squat, or you can bring them into more of a parallel line, or you could be flush along the midline. You're going to take a big breath in, arms heavy at your side. On an exhale, you're going to sit into a seat, bringing your hands to prayer and pressing. And then inhale to stand up tall. And you're going to give yourself a few dynamic repeats. Remembering to press your bum back towards the back end of the mat. Don't allow your knees to travel too far over your big toe. You want to press that energy back. Let's end in the seat and hold it, pressing actively into your hands. As you hold Utkatasana, chair pose. Then release from here to the knees, coming into a high kneel, checking that your feet are stacking directly behind your knees. Actively press with the tops of your feet into the mat and start with your arms cupping your sides and your chin nodded towards your chest. Take a big breath in, coming into a supported back bend. You can do fingers down, fingers up. You could use the L frame to hold your waist, whatever works for you. And then start to play dynamically between your tall kneel with your chin nodded towards your chest and then your supported camel back bend. Begin to work with your breath, and every time you find yourself coming into that supported camel, think of trying to systematically bring the two shoulder blades closer and closer together, so that you're expanding and opening up a little bit more every time through the chest center. Maybe you can look up towards the sky and open not only your chest center, but your throat center. Exhaling as you nod chin to chest. Inhaling as you come into the supported back bend. Let's end in the back bend and hold it. Modified camel, Ustrasana. Then restack, body in one long line, nod your chin to your chest. Pause here, looking to melt your collar line. Keeping your chin nodded towards your chest, start to trace a circle towards your left shoulder. Then trace a semicircle all the way from your left shoulder to your right shoulder and keep playing side to side, releasing gently into the neck. Playing collarbone to collarbone. Come to stillness along the midline. Take a big breath in and bring your chin back to neutral. Big breath in. On an exhale, peek over one shoulder. Keep your chin line parallel to the floor as you come back to the middle, and then exhale to peek over the opposite shoulder. And start to find a gentle over shoulder peek, remembering to pause along the midline every time on your journey to one shoulder. Bring your chin line back to neutral. Take a big breath in. On an exhale, make your left ear heavy to your left shoulder and just pause there for a moment. Looking to lengthen through the right side of your neck. Inhale to come back to the middle. Exhale to do the same on the right side. Find your way back to neutral and ease your way into a 4-point kneeling position for some cat-cow play. Start by finding a neutral long stretch through the neck and the spine. On an inhale, hollow out the back as you take the chin and the bum bones to the sky. On an exhale, round out your back in cat stretch. And then begin to play dynamically between the two frames, finding a breath ratio that works for you. It could be 1-to-1, or it could be 1-to-2 in either favor of the cat or the cow. So start connecting to that little divine spark within. See yourself. Find what works for you today. Play where you're comfortable. Syncing your movement to your breath. Letting your outside movement reflect what's happening inside. Let's end in a cat stretch and hold it for a few breath counts. Ease your way back to a long tabletop stretch. Float the right arm and the left leg up and take a long stretch here. Keeping nice and stable through the whole line of your trunk and reaching your fingertips and your toes as long as you can. Paint back to the mat to change, floating left arm and right leg into an extend and a reach. Paint your way back down to the mat and find your way into a tall staff seat, Dandasana, at the top end of your mat. Sit up nice and tall, feet hip-width distance apart. We're going to float the arms out in front, taking a nice tall stretch through the arms, spine, and legs in staff pose, Dandasana. Then paint your hands back behind your hip line, bend your knees, think belly to sky, and then back down to staff and begin to play dynamically. If you find that the full table is too much, maybe just bend the knees and lean off the center line without the bum lift. So play where you're comfortable, but shoot for maybe 10 repeats. Every time you find yourself peeling up into that tabletop line, see if you can distribute the weight between your feet and your hands equally, so it feels like your body weight is beautifully dispersed between those 4 points. Find your rhythm, work with your breath. Maybe inhaling for the table, maybe exhaling for your seat. Start to make and find a rhythm that makes sense for you. Let's try to end in the table and hold maybe for a count of 10. As you find your way back down to your bottom, drop down onto the elbows behind you. Let's keep the leg bent and let's extend the right leg. You can do a brace to your right foot, or you can keep the foot soft and reaching. We're going to float up till the two knees are alongside each other, and then relax the right leg, maybe to hovering just off the floor. You're going to lift and lower dynamically. Keep pressing off your forearms. Keep floating your chest towards the sky. Don't collapse between the two shoulder blades. End in the lift, hold it. Then relax your right leg to the floor. Rotate over to drop onto your right side, readjusting your right forearm beneath you. You can stack the legs one on top of the other, or you can take the top leg and knife edging it and stacking it in front of the bottom leg. Try to lift your hips off the floor, and then maybe bring your free arm, your left arm, as close to your ear as you can and hold for a count of 10. Try to keep that bottom hip off the floor as you come into your modified elbow side plank. Release your hip to the floor, roll onto your bum again, placing your elbows on the floor behind you. This time we're going to bend right, we're going to extend left. You can do a brace into your foot or a soft reaching toe line as you lift and lower with control. Trying to keep that left leg hovering just off the floor as it comes down. We're going to end in the lift. Then relax the left leg to the floor. Readjust your left arm as you flip over onto the side of your body, stacking one on top of the other or one in front of the other. Lift your bottom hip off the floor, bring your top arm as close to your ear as you can and try to hold. Breathe into the open side of your ribs. Release your hip to the floor. Find your way onto your back, keeping the legs long and extended. See if you can float your arms overhead, palms up. Start in neutral pelvis, neutral spine. Take a big breath in. On an exhale, find a tilt and imprint. Draw your legs to 90. Scoop to bleed your head, your chest, your arms off the mat. Floating your arms alongside your hip. Pausing in that contraction for a moment before you whisper softly, release back down to the mat. Shooting for maybe 10 repeats. Let's hold the last contraction. Then as you release back down to the mat, bend your knees, ground your feet, and relax your arms heavy at your side. We're coming into some dynamic bridge articulations and we're going to be rolling up and down, lubricating through the spine. Begin in neutral, start to curl your tailbone in towards your belly button line, start to peel your back line off the mat. Taking a little stretch through your belly and your legs at the top of your bridge, and then articulating right back down, finding a continuous up-down bleed through your rib cage and spinal column. Keeping your feet and your knees in parallel throughout. Keeping the weight of your shoulders and your arms pressing evenly into the mat throughout. Looking for that little stretch into your belly and the tops of your thighs at the height of your bridge each time. Making sure that you're firing through the glutes, the quads, and the hamstrings at the height of your bridge. We're going to hold our legs bridge. You can keep your arms at your side. You can use them to support your lower back, or you can float the two shoulders together, maybe coming into a bind behind your back. Find the flavor of bridge, Setu Bandha, that you'd like to hold. Keep your chin relaxed towards your chest. Breathe. your way back down to the mat when you're ready, remembering to open up through the shoulders if you were in a bind. Keep your knees bent and float your hands overhead, back of the hands connecting to the mat, palms up to the sky. Start in neutral. On an exhale, find a tilt and an imprint. Draw your legs into table, scoot to peel, head, shoulders, arms off the mat, coming into a nice tight contraction. And then inhale to whisper softly, reconnect to the mat, shooting for 10 repeats. Looking for that contraction and releasing it with control so that you come whisper softly back down to the mat each time. Maybe you'd like to play with an audible breath pattern that gives you an opportunity to get rid of some of the tension that you might still be holding inside. Hold the last one. Maybe gently cupping behind your thighs and coming up just a little bit higher. Hold that contraction. Then as you connect your feet and your back line to the mat, take a moment in neutral before gently pulling your knees softly up and just finding a gentle connect around your knees. We're going to start to play with our tailbone. You're going to squeeze the knees in towards your chest, peeling your tailbone off the mat, and then release your hug somewhat to reconnect your tailbone to the mat. And you're going to keep squeezing and releasing, lifting and lowering your tailbone to the mat. Maybe finding a vocal breath release. Finding a sound that resonates with you. Play around, don't be afraid to experiment. We're going to end in that tuck. We're going to keep it as we roll left, coming into a little fetal pose, maybe tucking one arm underneath our head and hugging knees to chest. Pavanmuktasana. And translating that into a little fetal tuck, Parsva Garbhasana. Find your way onto your back and begin to play with that little tailbone lifting and lowering breath. Little cleansing breath pattern, Pavanmuktasana. Squeezing all of the blood and the stale air out of the lower viscera. Beautiful little detoxifying breath. End in a tuck, and then roll right to come into your little fetal pose. Pausing there for a few moments in your tuck. Roll onto your back, grounding your feet. Take a big breath in, and then on an exhale, tuck into a tight little ball and hold. Then release back down to the mat. We'll keep the arms heavy at the side and we'll start to play with an external hip rotation on the right. Keeping the limb floating as you draw the knee out to the side of the room and back and start to lubricate into the hip joint. Maybe on your next circular trace, you can hug the knee in towards your chest. Maybe interlacing the hands and making a tight little basket and pressing, bearing down as much as you can. Then releasing the knee and maybe hugging the back of your thigh in towards your chest. Then think of starting to brace actively into your foot. Thinking foot to sky, maybe walking your way up along the calf towards the ankle and then bearing down, knee to armpit. Maybe you can walk your way to the undercarriage of your foot and bear down again. Trying to keep the weight of your back, your whole back line, pressing as equally into the mat as you can so you're not rolling your body weight. Then maybe you can walk your hands back down to either your calf or the back of your thigh as you begin to bend and extend through that limb. Maybe you can end with the leg in extension and hold. Let's do the same on the second side. Beginning to externally rotate through the left hip, lubricating into the joint. Keep the weight of your back pressing equally into the mat. Morph into a knee hug. Think of the weight of your back. Translate that into a thigh hug. Start to brace into your foot. Maybe think foot to sky. Start to walk your way up the leg. Maybe holding for the shin of the calf and tugging down. Maybe you can make your way to the undercarriage of the foot. Keep pressing the weight of your back equally into the mat. Coming into a half a happy baby, Ardha Ananda Palasana. Then walking your way either back to the calf or the back of your thigh, think hamstring, as you start to bend and extend your left leg dynamically. Looking for an A-line stretch, Uttita Hasta Parangustasana A modification. Hold that leg in extension. Then maybe you can bring the soles of your feet together in a little supine butterfly. Maybe you can scoot to add a chest lift, holding onto your shins or your ankles, hugging your heels into your perineum, and coming into a nice little modified U-hold, holding. Then onto the back for a full happy baby. Maybe you're holding onto your shins or your ankles. Maybe you can wrap around from the outside and bear down on the feet, thinking knees to armpits, trying to relax your whole back line into the mat. Try to relax your tailbone and make it heavy to the mat. Scoop back up into your butterfly hold. Back to happy baby, but change your hand position. Maybe reach from the front, grasping for the ball of your foot and almost curling your toes in towards your shin line. Back to your scooped butterfly. Back to your happy baby one last time. Maybe reaching from the inside, on the arch of your foot. From here, we're going to come straight into some spinal rolls. We'll look for a north-south rocking pattern, maybe holding on to the back of your thighs as you hollow out your belly and round out your back. Maybe you'd like to add a seated forward fold into your play. Stay here, or maybe you'd like to add a shoulder pike, pressing into the mat with your arms, and piking your feet up, or you could support your lower back every time you come into that shoulder stand. So just play. Maybe you'd like to end in your shoulder stand or your forward fold seat. Find your way back into a seat. Let's sit up nice and tall. Bend the right leg, placing the sole of the foot on the floor, and then hugging towards that leg. Twisting, hugging that knee in towards your chest. Modified Mariachi-asana. Then untwist your trunk and allow the right knee to fall open, coming into a forward fold, maybe hands to floor, or maybe you can reach for your foot, coming into a modified head to knee. Sit back up nice and tall, bring the right knee up, twist towards it, grab that incoming knee, grasp it towards your chest, keeping the weight of both of your bum bones pressing equally into the mat. Then untwist your trunk and step your right foot over your left, knife edging the foot as it arrives on the floor, and then just gently cupping around the knee and starting to fold forward, hugging the knee towards your nose. Stay here, hugging the knee towards your nose, or maybe you'd like to drop your fingertips to the mat. Maybe you'd like to reach with one or with both hands for the foot of your extended leg as you hold your little shoelace fold. Find your way from here back into your spinal rolls. Maybe just staying with the roll, maybe adding a forward fold to your rolling pattern, maybe adding a shoulder stand pike. Playing with the movement, playing where you're comfortable. You could support your lower back when you're coming into the pike, or you could just press your hands into the mat. Maybe you'd like to end in the shoulder stand or the seated forward fold. Find your way back to a tall seat. This time we will bend the left leg as we come into our little mariachi twist, hugging the left knee in towards our chest. You can keep your right toes long and reaching, or you can shoot for a brace into that foot. Then untwist your trunk, allow the left knee to fall open, and find a forward fold, maybe hands to floor, or maybe you are trying to connect to that foot using your hands or using a belt or a strap. Inhale to sit up nice and tall. Start to bring the left knee up. Start to hug that knee in towards your chest as you find a Mariachi-asana. Then this time, as you untwist your trunk, step the left foot over the right, knife edging the foot, setting up a modified shoelace, Gomukhasana. Maybe just hugging that knee as you think nose to knee. Maybe you'd like to drop your fingertips to the mat. Maybe you'd like to see if you can reach for those toes. While you're holding your little Gomukhasana stretch, decide how you'd like to end off your practice today. It could either be in corpse pose on your back, or you could find a seat, freestyle or supported, that works for you. Unravel your legs, extend the legs out in front, give them a little shake out, maybe coming into a full Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold, hands to legs, hands to floor, or maybe you're trying to bind around your feet. Inhaling and exhaling, gently taking that breath into your back. When you're ready, find your way into the pose that you had chosen or selected to end off today's practice. Settle into your pose, close your eyes, take your focus inward as we run through a little nidra or relaxation exercise. Begin by closing your eyes and internalizing, connecting to that energy within. Find that connection by slowing your breath pattern. Inhaling and exhaling gently, starting to soften the breath, starting to soften and relax the body, starting to soften and relax your mind. Visualize yourself taking a relaxing nature walk. Come across a beautiful, small, bubbling brook. Stop. Take a moment to really see, really hear, really feel everything in and around you. Soak up everything, taking absolutely nothing for granted. See the stunning plant and insect life. Hear the buzz of insects and the chatter of small creatures. Hear the gurgling water. Feel the breeze on your skin. Close your eyes, soaking up the warm sun through your eyelids. Breathe. You are alive and all is well in this perfect moment. Nod your chin to your chest and gently begin repeating over and over the mantra Namaste. Repeating that word Namaste over and over using your internal quiet voice. Keep repeating that mantra as you listen to the next few words. The gesture Namaste represents the belief that there is a divine spark within each of us located in the heart center. The gesture Namaste is an acknowledgement of the soul in one, recognized by the soul in another. Namaste reminds us that we are each unique, yet in this world together. Therefore, we should respect ourselves and each other. See, hear, feel what is inside of you. See, hear, feel those outside of you. With the truth of those words resounding inside, end off today's practice on your final internalized Namaste. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. Hope you enjoyed today's practice. Till next time, keep it light.